Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this floating 3-tier home decor shelf using some rough ash. So the first thing I did is I start measuring out my materials, cutting it to a rough length so it's easier to mill. I'm using 8-quarter ash and 4-quarter ash. So I'm cleaning it up by sitting it through the planer, getting a straight edge to reference on the joiner, and then for my shelves I'm getting one face flat, getting one edge straight, and then sending it through the planer to get it to its final dimension of 3/4 of an inch. And then I'll cut the frame of the shelf at 2 3/4 inches, cut the shelves to 5 1/2 inches, and then now I have all my materials ready to go. So I'll start getting closer to that final dimension. I'll cut each shelf at 16 inches, set up a little stop on the miter so I get the same repeated cut every time. Then I'm going to switch out my blade for a dado stack. And here I'm going to set up a stop on my crosscut sled. And then I'll cut out my dado. And I flip my piece over, get the exact same cut again on the top. And then I marked center on my piece already, on the frame piece. And then I will line that up on the dado stack. And then it's good to have it's never good to run your piece along the fence. So you set up a little stop here, brings it to where I need it to be, and then I can run it through the dado safely. And then I'm going to do like a little half lap, I think you would probably call this, on the shelves at 2 3/4 inches. So this part's really important when you're setting up a stop like this to get a repeatable half lap or dado or whatever you want to call it. If any of your shelves are off by any amount, like just the slightest bit, then your dado that you're cutting or your half lap will also be off. So each shelf has to be exactly the same width. And so here I cut a piece to that length or to that width, and I'm testing it to make sure that it's the size that I want before I start running my actual pieces through there, and it is. So good to go. I'll lock those into place with a little bit of Star Bond so those aren't going anywhere, and then I'll start cutting out my half laps, starting at one end and working my way down until I hit that other stop. And the other thing I like to do is I like to make the frames a little bit thicker than they need to be because it's easier to just cut those down than run all of my pieces back through the dado stack. So, boom, perfect fit. And then I like to add a little 45 on the frames, the top and bottom of the frames, just makes them look a little bit nicer. You don't have to do it. You can do them whichever way you'd like to, but this is how I like to do them. And then the way I mount these shelves to the wall is I mark out the center point in the dado, and then I countersink a hole so that way the screw stays recessed and it doesn't bump into the shelf when you insert it. And then here, using my countersink bit, then I sand everything down up to 320, I believe I usually go to. And then I really like Walrus Oil's furniture butter. Gives it a nice protective coat, and it looks really good. When you apply the furniture butter, you just have to put it on pretty thick and then let it sit for about 24 hours and then wipe off the excess. And then here I'll find my stud, and then I use 3-inch load-bearing screws into the studs. You don't have to do that. You can use a wall anchors, but I like the stud because then that way I can put whatever I want on them, and it's definitely strong enough to hold it. If you use wall anchors, you just have to be cautious about how much weight you're putting on there. I hope this video was helpful and you liked it, and you guys can make your own shelf too. Let me know what you think.